It do, flight crew, FTC, flight team stand up. We have 5 NBA records that will never be broken. I still ain't sober. It's October. Let's check it out.
What's up, guys? Mike here, and today we are taking a look at 5 NBA records that will never be broken. Now, the title is very self-explanatory, but I just want to say wait until the end because I'm doing another giveaway. So details for that will be at the end of this video, but until then, let's jump into this. Number 5. The NBA's greatest turnaround. The 2007 Boston Celtics were, to put it simply, awful. They won 24 games, had a stretch
Iverson and Melo on the team, right?
22 after Paul Pierce went down with an injury, and started Delonte West, Gerald Green, and Ryan Gomes. Just looking at their 2007 roster, it seemed impossible that the Celtics would even compete for a championship in the next 5 years, let alone win one the next season. But we all know what happened next. The Celtics managed to flip their number 5 pick, Jeff Green, to the Sonics for Ray Allen, and then somehow were able to acquire Kevin Garnett in a deal that they obviously won, only really giving up Al Jefferson and some future picks. Suddenly, after finishing with the second worst record in the NBA in 2007, the 2008 Celtics were the best team in the NBA. They proceeded to win 66 games, a 42-win improvement, and then went on to win the NBA championship. But what we're focusing on is that 42-win turnaround, because it seems unlikely that this type of improvement will ever be matched. In order for the Celtics to achieve this record, they needed the perfect storm of circumstances. In the season before the turnaround, they had 1, a bad team, which isn't rare, but 2, they also had a franchise superstar miss a lot of time with injury, thus giving them more losses than they should have had, and 3, tradable assets and a team willing to trade away a superstar. And then, after making 2 of the most notable trades of the last 20 years within months of each other, the Celtics had the following going for them in season. 1, the Eastern Conference was pretty weak this year, as 2 teams made the playoffs with losing records. And 2, they had 3 aging superstars who were desperate to win their first championship. Stars who treated every regular season game like it was a playoff game. Add all of these circumstances together and you get a potentially unbreakable record. I mean, seriously, the Celtics improved by 42 wins. 42 wins is usually enough to make the playoffs. And that was how much they improved by. The next highest improvement in a single season was the 96 Spurs, who only improved by 36 wins. And they went from starting Carl Herrera and Will Perdue at power forward and center to Tim Duncan and David Robinson. So trust me when I say this, a 42-win turnaround is insane. Number 4. Most technical fouls in one season. Today we remember Rasheed Wallace.
Oh, Rasheed Wallace. What you know about Rasheed Wallace?
The nature of a basketball. But at the turn of the century, Rasheed had a very different reputation as the biggest hothead in the history of the NBA. In the 2001 NBA season, Rasheed Wallace had an incomprehensible 41 technical fouls. That's one technical foul every other.
That's me when I'm in the NBA. No cap.
Perspective, the league leader in technical fouls for the 2016 season was DeMarcus Cousins with 17. Now,
that's what DeMarcus Cousins is. What Rasheed Wallace is what he wanted to be.
Technical fouls again in
DeMarcus Cousins was trying to be Rasheed Wallace.
Now obsessed with their
didn't work.
But back in 2001, things were very different. It was a simpler time, a time where Rasheed Wallace could receive 41 technical fouls and still play in 77 games, while only paying $20,500 in fines. This would all be impossible now, as the NBA made a drastic change to their rules for the 2006 season that are still in play today. These new rules made each fine from a technical foul more expensive, and also created a 1-game suspension after a player's 16th technical foul in a season.
That's lame, though.
Technical fouls after 16 causes an additional 1
Every
game
2
suspension.
techs after 16 is a 1-game
suspension.
suspension.
Only 1 player received a suspension for racking up too many techs in the 2006 NBA season. That man was Rasheed Wallace. And so Rasheed's 2001 record is practically unbreakable.
Facts. Yeah, that's why it can't be broken, because they changed rules.
In the current NBA season, he would be suspended a total of 13 games. This would only give him 69 games to receive.
Bro, we gotta look at a comp of Rasheed Wallace's text. There has to be a video out there, bro.
On top of this, he would receive
we gotta see, especially back in the day, what they would get text for.
$500 worth of fines. Over 4 times the amount Rasheed paid in 2001. And let's be honest here, if a player actually got 41 technical fouls in the current NBA, I'm pretty sure he would be put in jail. The current NBA does not background when it comes to their image, so we can safely say that Rasheed Wallace will forever live in the NBA history books. Number 3,
Facts.
most assists in an NBA career.
Well, let's
when
flight.
Discussing NBA legends, here is
It goes
something
from
that
breaking
nobody
controllers to
really
getting texts.
talks about. John Stockton was the most consistent point guard in NBA history, and it's not even close.
John Stockton was
Over
nice.
his 19-year career, Stockton played in 1,504 games.
Like, I have his
racking
type
up
of
a
passing
league record
package.
15,806 assists. And here's why that assist record will never be touched. In his 19 seasons, Stockton missed a grand total of 22 games and finished his career averaging 10.5 assists a game. So not only did Johnny Stockton never miss a game, he also put up 10 assists a night regardless of his age. In his last season, at the age of 40, Stockton played in all 82 games and averaged almost 8 assists a night. At the time, this surprised no one because it was clear that John Stockton had 2 purposes in life: to play the game of basketball and to set his teammates up for easy shots. For Stockton, passing was always the #1 priority, and his numbers certainly show that. Like I said before, he holds the league record for assists with 15,806, which is over 3,500 more assists than #2 on the list, Jason Kidd, and almost 5,500 more than #3, Steve Nash. If a player were to average 10 assists a game and play all 82 games for 4 straight seasons, they would finish with only 3,280 assists, which means that John Stockton is at least 4 full seasons of all-star level passing ahead of everyone else in NBA history. And looking at the current NBA, Chris Paul is the only current player who is even close to on track to approach Stockton's record, and he only has 7,688 assists in 11 seasons, which goes to show why I think this record will never be touched. Stockton combined 2 factors that make an unbreakable record. He put up absurd stats every season, and he was one of the most durable players in NBA history. To further emphasize my point, Stockton currently holds all 4 top spots on the NBA single season assist leaderboard. So yeah, I do not think this record will ever be touched. Number 2, most championships in an NBA career.
Championships?
After 13 years in the NBA, Bill Russell retired as the ultimate winner. His Boston Celtics won 11 championships, including a streak of 8 in a row. Both of these numbers will never be touched because the NBA was a very different league when Russell played than what it is now. The modern NBA has, of course, 30 teams, which means that if every team in the NBA was equal, a single team would have a 1 in 30 chance of winning the championship. Russell won a majority of his championships in an 8 or 9 team league, which means if everything was equal, then a team would have a 1 in 8 or 1 in 9 chance of winning the championship. So already, just because of this, Bill Russell and the Celtics had a distinct advantage over modern teams. Now, to add on to this advantage, the NBA was way more stable in the 1950s and 60s than it is now. That's because,
bro, imagine if I played during that time, bro. I'm averaging 52 points, bro.
If a player wanted to change teams, they would need to be,
bro, literally everybody back then literally looked like mayors of fucking like a certain state, bro. Like, come on, bro.
There was no danger of any of the players leaving. In fact, the lowest team continuity from one season to the next.
Bro, look at this, bro. I would literally run circles around these guys.
Free agency rules of the 1960s to the current NBA, where teams have to juggle salaries and create their roster under a salary.
I would have had at least 6 or 7 rings.
In today's NBA,
I would have made the All-Star team every single season. I would have got Rookie of the Year.
Because you just couldn't afford to keep that much talent. And speaking of talent, the reason the Celtics are the topic of discussion here is that they had a ridiculous amount of talent. Throughout his career, Bill Russell played with 16 different players who are now Hall of Famers. Adding on to this, the Celtics during Russell's 13 years
look how he dribbles!
4 Hall of Famers on a single team. And the 1963 team had 8 Hall of Famers on it. 8 Hall of Famers on one team? That's just insane. But it also explains how Bill Russell was able to win 11 championships and win 8 championships in a row. So until another NBA team has 8 Hall of Famers on their roster, I think these records are pretty safe. And number 1, too many Wilt Chamberlain records to count.
Oh yeah,
Here's
facts.
a list of NBA
100 point.
that Wilt Chamberlain
How can you not expect it to be
most
better?
points in a game, most points in a half, most field goals in a game, most points per game in a season, most rebounds in a career, most rebounds per game in a season, most you get the point. In the current NBA's record book, Wilt holds 72 records. How does this even make sense? Well, the man was truly a player before his time. A 7-foot athletic freak in an era where the average big man was 6'8" and could barely dunk. It appears that even in the modern NBA, Wilt would be considered an ultra-athletic big man. There are stories of him dunking on a 12-foot rim at UCLA, or grabbing a quarter off the backboard and leaving 2 dimes and a nickel. He was the strongest player in the NBA as well as a former track star, competing
Facts,
in
yo, I knew that already though.
For the Kansas track team, as well as winning the Big 8's conference high jump championship.
Bro, Wilt Chamberlain's a GOAT, bro.
This should not.
He should have played football too.
Wilt was a big man.
Bro, imagine playing wide out. Oh my gosh.
Multiple events and won. Add this to the fact that Wilt's era had several huge advantages for putting up crazy stats, such as way more possessions per game, which led to more shots, more rebounds, and more of everything, really. And Wilt's name under what seems like half of the NBA's records begins to make sense. And perhaps Wilt's biggest advantage statistically is that he never left the court. He averaged almost 46 minutes per game throughout his entire career. He never fouled out of a single game, and he once had a season in which he averaged 48.5 minutes a game, which is another
Wilt Chamberlain's a GOAT, bro.
To this list. Now, I know
bro, in my opinion, Wilt Chamberlain has to be in like an all-time basketball player. He has to be in the top 7, bro. He has to be in the top 7, bro. Has to be. I want to put him in the top 5, but then it's just like that's kind of like my own for a different separate video, because I'm not trying to hurt people's feelings on this type of video. It's supposed to be a good positive type of video. But
Chamberlain's 50 point per game
in my opinion, Wilt is in the top 5 all time, bro.
I have to say, Wilt deserves all the credit in the world for breaking all of these records.
Because he could play this time now, he'll still do the same shit.
To do so. He shattered so many scoring records because he was the best player in the NBA, and he shattered so many rebound records because he was the most athletic and the strongest. Like I said before, the man was truly a player before his time. And thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. To my subscribers,
hey man, that's usual man. Come on,